operations supervisor. My air traffic manager at the time saw some potential in me. She saw how I was always willing to volunteer for groups. And that's kind of, by putting your hand up, you get recognized. You're willing to go a little bit further. And so, there's people who are destined to just remain controllers for their entire careers, and they are really, really good at their jobs. And they have no desire to become a supervisor, and that is just fine. We need a lot of those people. We need the people. I was just talking to one this morning in the tower, and Max and I were talking about when we were walking over here. This guy is so damn good at his job. I don't even want him to become a supervisor. I just want him to be that calming presence in the room where he's so good at what he does that everybody else around him performs better as well. But I wanted a little bit more. So I came to Deer Valley. At the time was the busiest general aviation airport in the known Milky Way galaxy. And it was about 1,600 operations a day, mostly before 2 p.m. And so coming into an environment like this, I had to completely change kind of everything I'd ever known. It was a new district with new district leadership. You think geographically in the country, you have red states, blue states, you have mindsets. The mindset in the Seattle district was totally different than the mindset in the Albuquerque district. It was an extremely busy facility. And it was also very close to district headquarters. So we had the big bosses there all the time. In Moses Lake, you think anybody's taking their time to drive 2.5 hours from Seattle to come to Moses Lake and see how we're doing? No. So you got people kind of looking over your shoulder. But it was an opportunity to advance my career without having to relocate my family. That was the number one most important thing I was looking for, and these hubs exist all around the country. Phoenix has, like I mentioned, Deer Valley, Scottsdale, Mesa Gateway, Falcon Field in Mesa, and then Phoenix Tower and Tracon. Those are all within a commuting area. So I have a chance to kind of, originally think, oh, maybe I'll start at Deer Valley and then I'll go down to the tower, Phoenix Tower as a soup, and then maybe work my way up to an OM position, and then once I have that experience, maybe drop back to like Scottsdale as an ATM, or maybe Deer Valley as an ATM, and then eventually go down and become the ATM at Phoenix Tracon or something like that. Having those options available to me were really important for me, and they're important to a lot of people. For the most part in the FAA, and I know that they're planning to change this policy, you don't really have a whole lot of say-so in where you get to go, unless you finish at the top of your class at the academy where you get first choice from a pre-selected list. You kind of just end up where you're going to be, and then you have to try to go through the transfer process to get to where you want to go. Being in a place where there's multiple options available to me was super important. There was a lot of new challenges, different culture. I had a lot more responsibility. I had a manager who was, I'll call him a boomer. He was very old school, but he's also one of the greatest mentors I ever had. At the same time, I learned as much from him what not to do as what to do. People are different now. It's a younger generation that's coming into our workforce. You have to approach people differently. But now I'm in charge of that facility. So we go from having a 56-year-old gruff and grumble guy who all he ever likes to talk about is his guns and living on his property out in the desert and blah, 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 to somebody who kind of younger, I guess we'll say. I have a different mindset about how to talk to people that are younger than or who are closer in age to me. As we deal with new controllers coming into the workforce, it's something that there's a lot of sort of stigma about people who are of a younger generation. You guys, for example, what's the common one we always hear? Oh, you guys are lazy. You don't want to do nothing. I don't think so. I think you guys are incredibly brave. I think that you guys are a hell of a lot smarter than I ever was at your age. I think that I see somebody like Max who came into our building as an intern, and I am fighting tooth and nail, so no success, to get him hired at our facility because we need these younger and brighter people who think of things differently. You guys think differently than I do, than my previous boss did. So working with those different generations, it's as important to diversity as anything. It's important that we get women involved in the profession. It's important that we get minorities involved in the profession. It's also important we get younger generations involved in the profession.